so I could write it. Like, if they
So
want to let me
you should
know.
write a book.
But yeah, I did wonder if there was that surprised me. I was like, oh, I wonder if there was someone in the community
Yeah.
at Alexandria. But then I was like, was that Jadis?
It's
Like, I don't
funny you
know.
said Enid. No, I mean, honestly, Alexandria, I don't think so, because the whole point of this was to keep the existence of Alexandria a secret. And it's small too. So I
Hmm.
would guess no. But Commonwealth, I would think so.
Yeah, I
It's
think so.
50,000 people. If they don't know about the Commonwealth, they suck.
I would fucking love a Tales from the Walking Dead that showed like Beale talks about a civil war. I'd love to have seen some scenes from that.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
love to see an episode where we found out how the Commonwealth was related to the CRM.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I just there's
They
so
should do a
many
comic book of this
potential
series.
bits here. Yeah, they really should. They really should. It'd be a great graphic novel.
So more we knew from World Beyond that the CRM was on their way to kill everyone in Portland too. And we also knew that they cared about particularly gifted children. But here we have this child evacuation protocol. I don't know if we knew about that. The
Mm,
destruction of Portland, that the spies you just mentioned had embedded themselves in the school system so they could prepare to airlift at 10% of the kids away. And that shows you they only care about the really smart kids. And this voiceover talking
mhm.
about the mission says any one of them could prove to be the difference in our civilization's survival. So they just picked out the kids that they thought were the brightest.
We had inklings of that in World Beyond, but not
Yeah.
explicit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with, what's her name? Hope.
Hope. Yeah.
Yeah. They were interested in her. Beale also mentioned that until recently, they supplied test subjects for scientific experiments to CRM run labs. And we saw
Hmm.
some flashes of World Beyond with zombies and labs. So we knew that from World Beyond. What he didn't mention, but I'm going to spoil now, is that, because I think it's not really that much of a spoiler, is what they used the A's for was the test subjects. So
Hmm.
at least one listener had said, you know, if they're just going to kill the A's, why did they want Jadis? Why did they say if you're going to trade someone to get access, it has to be an A? That's what they said originally. And that's because
Hmm.
they needed test subjects, and they would like have a zombie bite a test subject and then study how long he
Yep.
turned and things like that. Like they would kill them, but in pursuit of studying the zombie virus.
Ugh.
And Beale said that happened up until recently. And if you want to know why that stopped, watch World Beyond.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we learned a couple of sort of new things. The thing about the spies, and I think that could mean there's spies in the Commonwealth. And he said throughout the continent and the world. So possibly also, and we might actually see something about this in the Pouvoir des Vivants
En
community in France,
Paris.
right? Maybe.
Ouais, ouais.
And he spelled it out that the CRM was pretty much going to kill everyone else in the world, which means eventually they would get to the Commonwealth in Alexandria. He said the CRM destroys communities for resources, for strategic superiority, and to ensure the city's secrecy and security above all. Well, we knew they destroyed communities, but he went on to say in 18 hours, we're going to take our final action to leave us as the supreme force on this continent, maybe the world, meaning kill Portland. And then they would call it a mysterious tragedy, use it as an excuse to declare martial law over the civic republic, then march across the country and eliminate any growing competition. Now, to me, that was the big point that, I mean, you could have suspected it, but they really spelled out, we're going to kill everyone except
Mhm.
for Philadelphia, you know? And so that gives me like, makes me think about a higher level view of why do this. It really makes sense why they separated A's and B's now, because they wanted a community of compliant people, B's, who were no threats, wouldn't cause any trouble.
Mhm.
And then Beale, he said at some point, this was all my idea. So that's why I feel like it's cult like. At first wanted to be the only leader and to give all the orders, and
Mhm.
everyone else would be compliant. And then you would have this military that was also compliant. They would kill everyone else on the planet just in case they were a threat, to try to save these people within. Now, it's a dumb plan. You need leaders within an organization, but I at least sort of understand what the point of all of it was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting when he said the decisions were his and it was his alone to sit
Yeah.
with. And he talked about the briefing as a way of like sharing that weight with people. And yeah, he's a very interesting character in that sense. And I think the cult like mentality really does map onto that quite neatly.
And I think this episode really shows why they got someone like Terry O'Quinn to play the part, because I
Mm-hmm.
really did. I liked the way they spaced out the echelon briefing throughout the first part of the episode. And,
Mm.
and I thought the way he played it was great because he didn't come off like a mustache twirling villain. In fact, he came off kind of likable almost, but that's the most dangerous kind of person because if you listen to what he's saying, it's fucked up.
And a little bit insecure when he's like, "Hey, I know it wasn't cutting a guy's throat out with my teeth, but like, it's still pretty bad, right?" And I'm like,
Well, that was weird to me because he just said that he killed like thousands of people. And I'm like, yeah,
mm,
that's a lot worse.
yeah,
That's way worse.
yeah, and yeah, Terry O'Quinn. A cynical Zed would say they didn't use him enough in the show, but I would say the way
Yeah.
they used him was great, and I thought their fight scene in particular was very strong. And he was an amazing Zed, an amazing Zed,
Yeah. And I
really
agree with
good.
both those statements. The way they used him was great, but they didn't use him quite enough for my liking.
For a long time in the show, we didn't see that many named characters as Zeds, but then I think in the Kang era, we we got a bit more because Sadiq we saw as a Zed, and then we
Who?
saw in the Sadiq.
Oh, Sadiq, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, we saw him as a Zed. We saw Lance Hornsby as a Zed, and here we got to see General Beale as a Zed. And I always like it when actors have to goof out and be zombies. I find it really entertaining to watch, and I like seeing what kind of zombies they are. And I thought Terry O'Quinn was a great one.
I kind of wondered if how Terry O'Quinn felt about that. Was he like excited about it? Or
Surely if you're going on a show like The
you'd
Walking Dead,
think.
you're like, oh, yes.
Because they asked him in an interview if he watched some Walking Dead to get ready for this, and he said, "Not really." He said, I didn't need to," and I forget exactly what he said, but it made sense to me because Beale would not know anything that any of these characters went through. He would just know
No.
about his own path, which I'm sure Terry O'Quinn had in his head, the character
Yeah.
backstory.
Well, I had a big long point about my longest point actually was about Beale, because I thought what we learned about him was kind of fascinating.
Cool.
I this idea of like the general who never had to do his service, who wants to do it now. He loves a wee monologue, which I thought was quite interesting. I
Mm-hmm.
alone decided the path ahead, and I alone want to feel the weight of it. And he talks about Rick coming back, and he's like, and I'm humbled by that. And I'm like, this chat is quite gimply, but I like it. It works for this guy.
Yeah, like he would be a guy who would speechify, and it's believable.
Oh yeah. I wondered if he knew Pope when he started talking about being in Vietnam and stuff. I was like, did you know a
Hmm.
guy with a bad hat called Pope? Um,
Can you never bring him up again? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
do you know Pope? Yeah, he sucks. I did laugh at the sort of the gearing up for the echelon briefing, the performance of like the gun on the table, put your prosthetic in front of me, away from you. Like the scene setting was very
Mhm.
incredible.
And looking right into the camera as he was delivering it, as if he was talking right to us at first.
Yeah.
Think about
Reflect on
your
your whole
life.
life.
Yeah.
Everything up to this moment. I was like, this had better be a fucking great briefing because the build up is quite a lot. I was 90% sure that tea was poisoned. They kept focusing in on it, and I was like,
Mm.
Rick, don't drink that. Rick, don't drink that. Rick, don't drink that. And then tangent time, I remembered about a friend of mine who accidentally tried to buy some ginseng tea and instead bought Korean women's diet tea, which is a laxative, and drank
Oh
6 cups of
man.
it, and you're had to go to hospital. So Peter and I were like, hope it's not that tea that our friend who shall not be named drank. So for the rest of it, we were laughing at the thought that Rick couldn't do anything because he would be like paralyzed with diarrhea.
That would be a twist. I
It'd
would
be a
not have,
twist.
would not have
Michonne,
predicted that.
You're gonna have to do this on your own because I'm in a bit of a
He's like,
situation.
I can't do it, Michonne. Come on, Rick. We've got to do. No, really, I
No,
can't. Trust
really,
me.
really, I'm in the John. It's gonna be a while.
What time is this meeting
I
at?
I killed General Beale, but bad news, I've got the shits big time. Like, so yeah. I just thought, is it like truth serum? Has he been put like the tea really stressed me out?
You always notice things I don't even
Oh,
know
the
there was
music
tea.
was like when the tea was there, and
That's
I
good.
was like, Peter was like, you just keep muttering to yourself, the tea is poison, the tea is poison. And I was like, it's 7 a.m. Um, Rick saying he killed someone with his teeth like they do, I thought was interesting
I love that.
because I'd never equated that act with being like a zombie in my head, and the fact that
Mm.
that's what he found shameful about it was like they do.
I think I mentioned
Really
that on
stuck
the
out to me.
podcast way back when.
Mm. Um, the Beale backstory, he talks about his time in the military. He talked about being in Vietnam.
Twice.
This idea about the Second Civil War fought on good Pennsylvania ground was fascinating to me. The idea of Pittsburgh and Philadelphia as the two fronts. He
Hmm.
talks about using the dead mass to overwhelm the troops. I killed my past in a whole city so another could live, and that's how he talks. He brings us in to learn the first secret about the most likely outcome being that we're all going to die. He does this amazing image of like the earth as being cluttered with corpses, a strange temporary museum for a blink of
Hmm.
its existence.
Very good.
He's great. Like you can see why people follow him. Like his
Hmm.
rhetoric is
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
top notch. Um, and yeah, the rest of it I think you've all covered about the martial law doing this. What I thought was interesting is the most sinister, I think, about what he's saying. Yes, people are going to die and are going to be killed, but also this idea that people within the Republic, once again, some of their freedoms will be delayed yet again. And this idea of keeping that freedom from people that I find the most sinister is it's finding excuses to never have them be able to do the things they want to do again. And it's
Orwellian.
interesting. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I was worried when he brought up Carl.
I thought Rick was going to jump right up and tear his throat out with his teeth when he said,
Honestly, I was
yeah.
like, But then when he was talking about you will never have to suffer that loss again, you could bring them to us, they will be spared from our
Hmm.
march. And that was the one point where I was like, they've set this up quite well. So, that is Rick's biggest fear. We found that out in
Hmm.
episode 4.
And he relaxed his grip on his knife for a second, and part of you
hmm
wonders,
You
would
wouldn't
would
blame
he
him.
take him up on
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
It's got to be tempting if someone tells you that you can
Yeah.
never, you can be guaranteed that you won't feel that loss.
But then, just like if Rick did consider it for a minute or a second, and so did I I think I dismissed it too. Like, no, he won't do that.
I know.
No way.
Michonne's clicks kind of break conversation and Beale notices them and then tries to get Rick to swear on the sword. So we find out what Okafor meant by swear on the sword, but don't let it
Hmm.
take, which I think means say you'll do it, but don't take it to heart and try and find other ways of doing things.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I thought. Swear on the sword, don't let it take. So swear on it, but don't let it overwhelm
Hmm.
you and make you into a different person.
And I wondered if Rick would do just that.
Yeah. Well,
Pretend.
that's Okafor's sensible advice is, yeah, okay,
But
yeah,
he
do that.
fucking didn't, and I was
Nah, he's Rick
shocked.
Grimes. He's Red Rick. How the fuck's he gonna do that? Look into my eyes. Yeah, that the drama of the moment of the two of them looking at each other was just
Yes.
so
And
high
then
octane.
I think just because Rick hesitated, because Beale said no, he knew
Yeah.
that Rick was about to do something, but he caught it before Rick even did anything. I thought that was such a great moment. And then Rick throws his knife,
Mhm.
buries it right into his chest. So good.
Goddamn Okafor. My son brought me back. I thought the line about one unstoppable life was a bit cheesy, but I liked "We're not dead, you are." And then his immediate
Mm.
radioing Thorn to lie about where Beale is, saying he went to the woods.
I was like, because
Lie.
he stabbed him through the hand. That's when he with his own
Mm-hmm.
sword, and that's when he
Oh, that's
said,
got to be so sore.
yeah, and he said, "Damn, Okafor," and then he killed him, but it didn't really show him die. And then you see Rick calling Thorn, and I'm like, you better keep your eye on Beale over there because I'm not so sure he's dead. But then next thing you know, he's carrying him around in that case with blood seeping out the bottom.
That is one of those things that like it trod a fine line between hilarious and very tense. Like I was very
Yes.
tense in the lift, but then when I thought about it, I was a bit like
Yeah. It's like a
like if you
comedy
just change the
almost.
soundtrack to the Benny Hill music. I mean, you change the soundtrack of anything to the Benny Hill music and it's funny,
We gotta try
but that
that.
in particular was quite funny. Yeah.
Try Handmaid's Tale. No, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh God.
I don't think that would
uh,
work.
so that was my Beale
Love
spiel.
it. That's good. Made me blow snot out my nose. I when Beale, he talked about that Civil War, and he killed the people from his hometown so that he could get rid of the people who were trying to blow up Philadelphia. And that was
Mm.
sort of similar to what Okafor did. He blew up Marines to stop them. I don't know how those two events tie in together,
Yeah.
but presumably it was all part of this Civil War.
It was just Okafor and Beale left. They're like, well, I did one lot, you did the other lot.
Oh crap! We need
Oops.
to communicate
Ah,
better.
shit.
At least we have each other. But those are dark things, but it's more like most of the things that Rick's done, where
Mm,
it's to stop a threat, and
mm.
Beale went from that to, well, anyone could be a threat, so let's just kill them all.
Yeah.
That's the part that I don't quite can't get on board with.
It's a swing. It's a swing.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved all of that. His past, his alcoholic father. I mean, just the whole scene that was drawn out in several beats, interrupted by other scenes between Rick
Mm,
and Beale. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it, and it was just as good a part of this episode for me as everything else until the end, which was the best when they had the reunion.
mhm.
And I was so tense. It was interesting to to think about Beale and be like, how much of this do I agree with? And him as a charismatic character, but also the tension of Rick grabbing at his knife. And it's just a very tense scene. And then to have the satisfaction of him actually attack, and then they have a fight, which was great, at the end. And it was just all very well done.
I think it depends. Like I was thinking about this when I was listening to the feedback episode because I was thinking about Veronica, who's a kick-ass scientist. So Veronica and I are both have doctorates in different fields. So Veronica's got a doctorate in science, I've got a doctorate in literature, and we often agree on a lot of the same things. And I was thinking with what Beale says about statistics and projections. I'm always like, but what about if it doesn't happen like that? What if there's a butterfly effect? What about hope? What about
Yeah.
beauty? What about art? This is why I would die within the first 5 minutes of zombie apocalypse because I'd be like, I'm going to be a bard. And I just thought it's so interesting that we can come to these things with different perspectives and find common ground in the zombie apocalypse. But I would find I just absolute certainty is so difficult. And if someone said
Yeah.
to me in 14 years we're all definitely gonna die, I'd be like, but what if we don't? We don't know. We can't predict. Who'd have predicted 10 years ago where we'd be now?
And that's World Beyond was about all that too. Elton started off as very pessimistic about the future of humanity and came around.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love everything you're saying about science and
Mm,
predictions and modeling out, but not knowing for sure. And that was, Beale was just spent all this time laying out the reasoning for why he's doing what he's doing and why,
mhm.
that humanity is going to die in 14 years and all this. And then Rick's counter to that was, the world isn't going to end. And that's it.
Yeah. I'm definitely the Rick in that situation. I'm like, no, it's not. Why?
No,
I don't
you
know. It's
don't
just
know.
not. Love.
You don't know.
Love and
Because
stuff.
what if
Love
he's
and
right?
art.
What if he's right? What if this is the only way to save humanity? And Rick and Michonne are like, well, we care about love. And then they end up
Yeah.
causing everyone's death. It could happen that way in some world. I mean, it won't in this story because that would be a lame story, but you never know.
So like, here's what I'll say.
Sentimentality.
Here's what I will say. I think that yeah, the facts are probably right, the maths is probably right, but how we get there and how we prevent it are two different things.
Mm-hmm. I
So,
mean, because Beale also talked about not just the dead, but I can't remember the words he used, but he was kind of talking about the things they talked about in World Beyond about are there enough resources for the people that are here, you know? And we struggle
mhm,
with that in the non-apocalyptic world, but you don't kill people to take care of it because there aren't enough resources. You figure out how to produce more resources. And I just think a good way to motivate people to care about each other and figure things out is to care about each other, you know? I mean, just to value caring about even people that you don't know. And if you have that care in society, then you'll be in a society where we take care of each other. That's what I want. I want
mhm.
a society where we all want to take care of each other, not everyone else's competition and do your best and fuck everyone else. I don't want that,
Yeah.
you
No,
know?
I agree with you. I think that sucks. That's not a world I want to live in.
Yeah.
Exactly like Michonne said to Rick, what kind of a world are we leaving them if, we let this kind of thing happen? And I think
Right.
that's true.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So that was great. I want to talk about Jadis's dossier a little bit.
Oh yeah. The
Uh,
cat butt dossier.
I don't have the complete text, but more than enough to get the gist, and I'll read the parts I managed to transcribe. Did you do any of
Hmm.
that?
I did not, so I'm
Okay.
interested in this very much.
So there's a lot that was blurred out, but something traded the injured Rick Grimes, who I portrayed as a something, is not a B, and I have a much deeper relationship than I had previously portrayed. Blah blah blah. Had battled him in an alliance with a third hostile community that had something consolidating power in the area. Rick led his own alliance of communities to defeat us. Blah, blah, blah. Further, had paved the way for peace between all the parties concerned. He has demonstrated himself to be an A, and his community, Alexandria Safe Zone, has a number of blank blank within its walls. Further, Rick's wife, Michonne, is the individual known as Dana. Blah, blah, blah. She had searched for Rick, not knowing he was aboard, and had shot down his helicopter. My omissions have created a critical vulnerability for the Civic Republic, and I firmly believe that Alexandria, Rick, and Michonne must be destroyed. Blah, blah, blah. Something about that Rick and Michonne would return to Alexandria and let them know about the Civic Republic, and that information could spread to other places and compromise their security. Also, quote, Rick Grimes is a natural born leader who has something, survivors under a single banner. His strategic abilities, something, a formidable opponent. Michonne, Rick's wife, is a highly something. Her unwavering loyalty to Rick and her relentless something, equally dangerous adversary. The Alexandria Safe Zone is organized and resourceful to secure the CRM's position and prevent something critical to eliminate Alexandria, Rick, and Michonne. So you get the idea. They're a threat. We
I
need to
like this.
kill them.
She had very different handwriting to what I was expecting. I
To
thought she would
me,
have really like,
oh, it
yeah,
was a bit
I
girly,
just
huh?
was like, oh, it's very neat. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, very neat handwriting. Yeah, surprised me.
I wonder if no, I doubt it. I was going to say I wonder if Pollyanna McIntosh actually wrote that. Probably not.
Hmm,
Don't
you
know.
never know. No, no.
All right, that's all. I just wanted to read a little bit of that. You got anything else?
Excellent. I've got so much crap, man. I've got so much stuff. Just yeah, the shenanigans, the tension, just everything. I just want to talk about everything that happened in this episode. Even the dark cold open with the panning in on them. I mean, panning in on them having this like lovemaking sesh before their big um the big shenanigans, shall we say. I was very pleased that they actually planned it. Rick and Michonne don't always plan things, so that seemed
mm-hmm.
to work in both their favor. But that whole build up with all the voiceovers, it's never that simple. Oh fuck, my nerves at that point. I was like, oh god, someone's
Yeah.
gonna die.
Yes. Yeah.
Sergeant Major Rick Grimes appearing at the gates like it's Alexandria. He told me it's just the burning, and then the credits come up. Oh,
Oh yeah, I didn't make that connection with Alexandria. I think there's a lot of
there's callbacks.
deliberate,
I've got a
yeah,
list of
callbacks and
callbacks.
echoes
Yeah.
and things. Yeah.
I liked Rick and Weekend at Beely's Go for a Walk, which is when he's taking Beale into the lift. And I just wrote, this is a balance of ridiculous, tense, and funny, but also tense, like the
Yeah.
blood seeping, the lift taking forever, Michonne finding him. I mean, it was just also good. I could go on and on about all the details in it, but I just really enjoyed the level of tension that they managed to create in this episode. And I
Hmm.
did not relax until they were running off the helicopter at the end. I was like, so much has gone wrong. They're not going to get home. And I did laugh because I watched this on Easter Sunday, and when Rick exploded the zombies and then kind of walked through them, I've written, like, Jesus, Rick is risen, which is very OTT, but I was very, very stressed out at this point. I cannot emphasize this enough. So, yeah, the tension levels were high.
And I liked the plan too, and that they didn't tell us what was happening. I mean, there was some artfulness in this episode for sure. The way that, like you said, it showed Rick and Michonne planning it out, but they dispersed that in chunks
Hmm.
throughout the episode. Not in chronological order, and showing the grenades with the wire through it, but we didn't know what it was for. And she just said
Hmm.
Nat gave her the idea somehow, and then showing that it was actually contingent on Beale and this other zombie to activate the
I mean, the
grenades.
poetic justice of that
Yeah,
is off
right.
the
Beale's the
scale.
one who, and I thought that was clever and fun in a really twisted, fucked up way.
Only in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, right.
I have Thorn as well in this episode. You could tell she was going to go full bad when she kind of
Mm,
Rick mentions Okafor, and she's like, "No, Okafor died. He wasn't meant to be part of this. He wasn't right about everything." When she has the realization montage that Bethune is Michonne, we see Rick going all in on a game of poker, and I thought that was quite an interesting thing for her to
hmm.
see. But I was also like, did she not suspect this before? I don't know. I don't know. Thorne just losing her shit, shouting, "You destroyed our chance! You destroyed the whole world!" It
Yeah.
was something to behold.
We talked about being afraid for their lives the whole time. I think the part where I was the most anxious was when they successfully rigged the explosives and started to leave, and then Thorne showed up. I thought,
Hmm.
oh fuck, this character is going to kill one of these two, and we don't like her. I mean, I've tried to stand up for her a bit, but I don't want her to be the reason why Rick or Michonne dies, and that's when I was like the most anxious.
Yeah, I completely with you. I was like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. I could just see her killing Michonne or Rick, and I don't
Yeah.
know.
Hmm.
So that wasn't amazing.
It was good
And
tension, but I'm glad it didn't happen.
oh, the tension. And that moment where Michonne gets caught in Jadis's room with her foot because the letter pushes up against it. That was also very tense. You know, if there's one thing I've learned from watching shows like this, it's if you knock on a door of a room that someone's in and you say like, "Hey, Jimmy, are you there?" and they don't reply, don't go in the room. You're gonna get killed. Like, just walk away. Get a friend. Get them
That's
to come
true.
with you.
Yeah.
Arm yourself. Come in and don't get garroted. Like,
Yeah.
that's my advice for you as listeners.
Especially when you're in
And
a like militant place like this.
also when Michonne was ripping up the letter, I was like, honestly, burn it. Don't leave bits of it.
Oh, I
Burn
know.
it or
She
eat
did
it.
start to pick it up, but I was
Yeah,
like, you should just put that in
I
your
was like,
pocket. Like,
I get the dramatic effect, but burn it.
yeah. That would have been dramatic if she burned it.
Yeah. And Denai Guerrero was just wonderful. Her eye acting was on point after that Portland briefing. I just was, oh, that little kid that looked like RJ, and it clearly shook her right to her core.
Mm. And they thought
Mm.
about they use flashbacks really well for different purposes. It
They really
was to
did.
show the things that they have had to do, but also when there was talk of threats, they would think about the people they cared about and just, bring home that they would be in danger.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any further points or just notes?
I have one more. It's kind of a point/note. It's the news voiceover. I thought it would be good to read through
Yeah.
that. So they said the wide-ranging ramifications surrounding Operation N1W, which is what they called killing Portland and taking 10% of the kids. With the
Mm.
CRM's frontliner force and the CRM Force Command, including Major General Jonathan Beale, all casualties of the incident connected with shocking revelations regarding all their operations and activities. the CRC, which I presume means Civic Republic Council, voted unanimously for emergency oversight over the remaining forces of the CRM. So that means the people in town took control of the military. Command hierarchies and layers of operational secrecy indicate infantry units did not participate in the atrocities perpetrated by these highest levels of the CRM, thus presenting hope for immediate reform. That means all the soldiers that were left were not the ones who had the echelon briefing. They weren't complicit in the most heinous acts of the CRM, so they could still be a part of the community. And in another stunning unanimous vote by the CRC overturning CRM guidance, free movement has been established for the Republic. Citizens are now free to leave at will, and the city will now welcome new citizens as they may arrive. One new man named Negan is here. Well, let's have a word from him.
He sucks.
With oversight of the military now in the council's hands, the CRM's priority has shifted beyond the CR's defense to now engage with, assist, and even airlift any survivor or community they may encounter. So they're now, I mean, that's a big shift from like nobody can leave or come in to, oh, we're completely open to anyone. But anyway.
Very much.
It's cool. I liked it.
I have my list of callbacks.
Great. Yeah, I'm curious. What do you got?
In the first scene, we see some Johnny Walker Black Label. You may remember it was also featured in last week's episode. So callback to Johnny Walker.
It's also a callback to Hyundai in a way.
Yes. We see their weapons and wedding ring laid out on the ground. Well, the wedding ring is getting handed to Michonne while they're doing it. But we see a hatchet and a kind of sword, not the katana, but she gets her katana back at the end. Rick must have reclaimed it. Yeah, she does. I think at the very end.
Oh, at the very end. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, when they're reunited.
Okay. Sorry.
We also see there's a can of orange soda out, which made me think of Denise. I don't know if it was deliberate or not.
I bet it was.
Yeah. We see the phone with Michonne and Judith on it. The metal cat is a callback, as we mentioned earlier. Jadis's art, her portraits, pictures of Gabriel and tormented faces, the literal flashbacks. We see the governor, we see Negan, the claimers, Terminus, the prison. Michonne dealing with Jocelyn's group. We see Carl, we see flashes of Maggie, Eugene, Daryl, Carol, Ezekiel, like all the OGs. He says it's just the burning is what Rick's dad tells him when he's caught burning the farm down in episode 1. Even Okafor, I think, was a little callback. One callback in episode 4 where Rick says we can make this whole damn world ours if we want. And Michonne says, sounds like something I would say, but looks confused. She said it in a dream. I forgot this until I saw it in I was like, oh, that makes sense. Yes. And Michonne walking around and picking up a cuddly bunny rabbit reminded me of episode 1. When we see the little girl picking up the cuddly bunny rabbit. So yeah, lots of callbacks. How about you?
Just a little taster for how great the listener feedback episodes have been. If you guys haven't listened, I'm going to read one from somebody right now.
Amazing.
And that's Teresa Harper, who wrote, after watching episode 6 of The Ones Who Live, seeing that stuffed bunny, it dawned on me that in season 11, episode 1, Acheron part 1, Maggie stumbled upon a stuffed bunny in the tunnel of the subway on their quest to Meridian. Daryl also finds a Polaroid picture of 2 kids holding a stuffed bunny. In the finale of The Ones Who Live, Michonne finds a stuffed bunny lying on the floor of the CRM. The bunny reminds me of that orange backpack that the man in the red poncho was carrying and resurfaced throughout the series of The Walking Dead. And then Dina said Lydia had a bunny. And of course, the bunny in the pilot, right? The little zombie girl.
Yes.
And
yep.
Aaron found baby Gracie in the Savior's compound with a stuffed bunny in her crib. That was actually the same prop that little, the younger Lydia had when we saw her backstory with Alpha.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
It's the same prop. I read TWD prop master John Sanders had 2 rabbit plush toys made after Scott Gimple asked for a Velveteen rabbit, and they found the perfect one on Etsy. It was this actually Scottish artisan, and they asked her, "Can we make 10 of these?" And she said no. And they said, "We're from The Walking Dead," and she said no. And they explained it to her like, "We really need these, and we love what you do." And so she made two, and
Oh,
and she was excited about it. But and then Judith also had one of those in a dream sequence of Carl's before he died. Apparently, I read that. I don't remember it. But anyway, so apparently this bunny has
oh,
popped up in tons of places.
oh my God! The bunny is the ultimate Walking Dead spin-off master.
It's interesting.
That's really funny. Bunny, bunny. Did you have a toy when you were a kid?
Yeah, I had toys. I had a little Snoopy plush, stuffed animal that I gave to a girl. This is a horrible story, that I had a crush on in kindergarten, and then I was crying at night because I didn't have it, so I asked her for it back.
Oh, did you
That
get it
was bad.
back?
I think she gave it back to me, which was,
Okay, that's good that you got it back.
yeah, but I feel bad about it now. Shouldn't have given
Yeah,
it
but
away.
also,
Mm.
you know.
What about you?
I had a hand, like a fox, a cuddly toy fox, but it was like a hand puppet you keep your hand in. I still have it somewhere. But he was my favorite.
What's the voice?
I didn't have one. You know,
Oh, it's a puppet.
surprisingly for me, he didn't have one, and he was a puppet. He was silent, but he
He
used
was
to like
mute.
he used to rub his face together. He's got
Cute.
like little bits missing from where I used to like rub it. Yeah, that was mine. That was
Nice.
mine.
I mean, my
No
favorite was my
bunnies.
little Spider-Man action figure that I tied my shoelace around his arm and swung him around.
Oh, that's
Played
really
with
sweet.
played the crap out of that.
Oh.
All right, let's get into notes.
I don't have that many actually. I have that. There's quite a lot of sex in this show. It should have been called The Ones Who Fuck. Um, I loved Michonne's line about being certifiable. You
Hmm.
don't leave people behind. This is the shit we do is some good dialogue, I think.
Hmm.
And my final one is mhm, I think that Thorne yelling hands at Rick is really rude because he only has one now. So. Bit mean.
He's
Bit
mean.
mean. Those are
He's
my
not good.
notes. No.
Cool. I liked when, I think it was when they were just like rigging up the explosives. Rick said to Michonne, Beale said I could lead the CRM one day. Like he's proud
Oh
of
yeah.
it.
And she's like,
Like he's
shut
bragging.
up.
And it's like you said earlier, we've had so many CRM stories and build up, and just Rick comes in and quickly ends it all. But I'm
Yeah.
proud of Rick for interacting with the community and not taking it over. As far as we know, he left that to the people
Yeah.
of
And he only
Philadelphia.
killed however
A
many
few
people were
thousand.
at that moot. So like
Yeah.
2,273
I
probably. So
mean,
it's
ironically, they killed people to save people there. And
the
I
burning.
I do wonder if they could have tried talking them out of it. They'd all been indoctrinated, I guess, but I don't know how much choice they had. Maybe some of them didn't really want to be doing what they were doing, but they didn't have any
Mm,
time for that. It was too risky to try. And
no.
also it's a fucking drama, or, action horror show. So they had to have this big moment. But to me, it feels, I was just making this point with somebody recently. I love the movie Karate Kid so much. But it's a lot about the characters in it. The good characters preach nonviolence. That Mr. Miyagi says, I'm teaching you karate so that you won't have to fight. And
Hmm.
so it's all about not needing to prove yourself. But the final moment of that movie is Daniel just kicking the bad guy right in the face. So his head snaps back, and it's the most satisfying thing ever. And it's like, yeah, that's what we're here for. Come on.
Sometimes people need a kick.
Yeah. In this case, it was chlorine gassing a bunch of people and seeing them turn into zombies.
Hell yeah. Woo.
Yeah. Um, I just wrote, like I said before, this felt like an ending. I hope it's not the last we see of Rick, but at least we still have Daryl.
Yeah, I think I want to see Rick again, but I don't want him. I want him and Michonne to like come out of retirement one last time and both go back to retirement after and be safe and happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's where I'm at.
so they can reunite with everybody else would be awesome if that's
Yeah.
at all possible. And I think from what Gimple said, he wants something like that too.
I think this is the right place to end their story. And it sucks because I don't want it to be, but I think it is. And
Yes.
that's, yeah.
To be mature about it, yes, this is a great ending. We want more.
No,
There's a part of us,
exactly.
but if you're good,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we don't want them to write a bunch of shitty stories about Rick and
No.
Michonne or something. We don't
No,
want that.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And last, I think, given all this, that on the Daryl show, minor spoiler here, but we heard Carol on the radio with Daryl saying came back. It was
It was Rick.
fuzzy. Yeah, it's got to be Rick, right?
It's got to be Rick.
And I think it's great that they put that in there rather than just not having her say anything, because it totally makes sense that Carol would want to say that to Daryl, knowing how much
Yeah.
Daryl cared about that and spent so much time looking for Rick. So that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that too.